Chris Lee, Max Barr, and Blake Lovell here to preview and make predictions on Ole Miss's road trip to Auburn, 6:30 Saturday night on the SEC Network at Auburn Arena, or as they call it, Neville Arena. We do not have a line for this as we're doing it, but what we do is we average BPI, Bart Torvik, Ken Pomeroy, give you an estimate of what that could look like. Those have it as about a 15-point spread with Auburn as a 91% favorite to win. I think it's going to end up a little bit lower than that for some reasons we'll get into in a minute, but that's what the computers are telling us. Before you get into analysis, a reminder that this is brought to you by BetOnline. With NFL playoffs right around the corner, the NBA season in full swing, BetOnline has you covered with the up-to-the-second odds, news, and scores. With additional odds, lines, trends, and info on desktop and mobile, you can access the world's best wagering information anytime. Head there today. Get into the action to see all the updated odds. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, to get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Well, when it involves the Ole Miss Rebels, we go to our resident Ole Miss hype man, Max Barr, to give him first crack at this. So, Max, have at it.
Well, this is going to be a tough one to get up for. I'll tell you that much. Probably the toughest all season here for the Rebs. When you're, just looking at the numbers on this game, Auburn's numbers in conference play are unreal. If you have Ken Pom and you know what the green and the red stand for, it's the greener it is, the better it is. And Auburn is just straight down the line, green as it can get in pretty much every category, both offensively and defensively. The big thing, I think there's two main categories here that are vastly in Auburn's favor, especially being at home. But one of those is clearly the rebounding. Ole Miss still has not rebounded the ball well. They did a little bit better against LSU, but they really rely on forcing turnovers and block shots to kind of make up for that rebounding margin. And this is an Auburn team that does not get blocked very often. Very good finishers through contact. So the Ole Miss defense and how they kind of like to force turnovers and get you taking bad shots, and Jamarian Sharp sending stuff back and getting in transition. I have a hard time seeing this Ole Miss defense being able to really get into their flow, which then helps their offense. And like Auburn has been playing unselfish all year long, they've continued that in conference play. They're the number one assisting team in the SEC so far through 4 games. And this Ole Miss defense is second to last in allowing the most assists. So it's just kind of a nightmare matchup here for Ole Miss. But, you hear in especially in betting terms, you hear about good spots and bad spots, a letdown spot, a look ahead spot, whatever you want to call it. You do have a little bit of a look ahead spot here for Auburn. You're just been steamrolling every team, and then you get the Iron Bowl of basketball on Wednesday. So if there's anything going for Ole Miss, you're not going to find it in the numbers, because Auburn's going to have the numbers advantage pretty much everywhere. When you're looking at it just from a betting standpoint, you might have a little bit of an Auburn look ahead spot here, but they've looked pretty much untouchable so far, Blake.
Not encouraging when the numbers don't support you in any way, shape, or form if you're Ole Miss. But that is, Auburn's a nightmare matchup for anybody right now. So yeah, that's just the way this thing works. And the fact that it's being played in their home arena, it makes it even harder. I think for the Rebels, who, again, coming off of not the greatest performance in their past 2 road games at LSU and at Tennessee. So, yeah, look, this is a big challenge for Ole Miss. Anytime we break down one of these kind of games, you're just trying to find, okay, how do we build a path for you to get there? Right. It's like we said, what's been the biggest surprise for Ole Miss this year is that they've shot the ball as well as they have from 3, although they don't rely on it necessarily. They've been more efficient when they have shot it there. They don't beat themselves, so I think that's something else too that always is important. One of these games, turnover wise, they're not bad there. Even at LSU, they only turned it over 10 times. I mean, look, Tennessee, they still only turned over 11 times, even though, Tennessee kind of dominated that game defensively. And so that's something else I think here, at least Ole Miss will get some opportunities because they're pretty good at taking care of the ball. But, other than that, it's just, I think what it comes down to is you're just going to have to lean into your strengths, which again is just being able to get what you want out of your offensive possessions and not give Auburn any easy opportunities off of turnovers. Because if you do that, it's already easy enough for Auburn. You don't need to make it easier for them by giving them extra opportunities. And you just have to affect shots because we know with Ole Miss's, size and what, Sharp can do and all that, blocking shots, like all those things, they're going to have to be able to impact some of the things that Auburn does because Auburn is going to score the majority of their points from either the free throw line or in. That's, whether it's taking free throws, mid-range jump shots, dunks, layups, offensive rebounds, putbacks, like that's where Auburn's going to get the majority of their scoring because they're still, like we said, they're an improved three-point shooting team. They're still not a great three-point shooting team. So Ole Miss, push that thing out, make Auburn take a lot of shots from outside. That's probably, your best opportunity. But even then, again, it's not like Auburn's a bad shooting team. Like they're just, they're middle of the road, but that's okay, honestly, for what they have and the depth and everything. So, this is it's a tough matchup for the Rebels here.
Auburn has a lot of things going for it. But if I had to circle maybe the two things that stand out, Auburn has got an SEC Player of the Year candidate in Janai Broome. And Max, I know I'm going to ask you next to give you some time about his health because he got hurt late in the Vanderbilt game. As we do this on Thursday morning, we got some questions. On the other hand, our man Blake Lovell has called Auburn's bench the deepest in the country. And you know what? I don't find reason to disagree. You saw Auburn 2 games ago hang on to beat LSU, had a big lead, just about squandered it away. And then Chad Baker-Mazara in the bench, and Aiden Holloway was quoted saying, hey, that's why we won the game. It was those guys. They can carry you. And specifically, that bench is deep with front court experience. You've got Dylan Cardwell and Jalen Williams, both of whom can step in and give you big nights. Williams was perfect pretty much last time out. Gets Vanderbilt, got 21 points, didn't miss a shot from the field, had 8 rebounds. But your depth certainly gets eaten away when you take your best player out of it. So you get a guy in foul trouble, then all of a sudden, okay, you're okay where you are, but that's where you start to run into issues if you lose somebody else. That is a very long-winded way to say that Auburn has a pretty good buffer against an injury like Janai Broome, but it also does not have another copy of Janai Broome on its team because, again, he may be the best player in the league, arguably. Max?
No question, if you don't have Janai Broome, that impacts your game, right? Being one of the most impactful players, especially as a front court player, and when you're going against an Ole Miss team that has 2 7-footers. The thing about Cardwell is the reason that I think he's so effective is because he plays his role so well. Like, he is the 15-minute a game, full of energy, get the crowd going, get the blocks going, the dunks. That's what he does. Now, if he was in a starting role and he's got to play 27, 28 minutes, I don't know how he would look. And now it's a completely, he's going to be asked to do different things. So it would 100% change stuff. Broome was able to, finish out the game. It's not, it's not like he got injured, went to the locker room, didn't return, and was out, and now we have no clue if he's going to play or not. He looked like his knee was banged up, and Bruce Pearl said, we don't have any information on it right now. And that was last night. This is Wednesday night. He said that. So we're recording this on Thursday. We're probably going to get information today, either today or early tomorrow on the knee. But yeah, it would change things. But if there's any team that's able to kind of soak up a front court loss, it's going to be this Auburn team.
I want to ask you guys one thing. Well, 2 things actually. Okay. Because I think we would all have to have a really, really good reason not to pick Auburn in this one. Again, it's almost a 15-point favorite according to the computers. But two things. Ole Miss is 11th in the country in three-point shooting. Nothing gives you the recipe to an upset, like coming in and just hitting threes like there's no tomorrow. Number two, we talked about Auburn's front court depth. Not many teams in the country, and by not many, it might be nobody, has two guys who can swat shots like Cisse and Sharp can, 7'5" and 7 feet. With Broom gone, could those two things be a little bit more of a factor, Max, if he were to miss the game or to be hobbled?
I mean, yeah. The answer is yeah, but like I said before, it's hard to predict because we haven't seen Dylan Cardwell in that being asked to do stuff that Janai Broom does. You know, I haven't seen that yet. So if we're asking Cardwell, you know, you're going to have to score in double digits in back-to-back games, and you're going to have to play 25 plus minutes. Does he turn the ball over a little bit more? Does he get into foul trouble with how aggressive he plays? It most certainly could impact things. And then if you have Ole Miss knocking down shots and Auburn's playing from behind and in foul trouble and trying to play catch up, now we could sit here and be like, well, geez, why didn't we give Ole Miss any chance in the world? We did that preview and just completely gave it Auburn. So yeah, I can see it. But I mean, that really relies on the hypothetical of Broom being out. You know, I from right now, I think he's going to play, but that's just from what I've seen. We don't really know.
All right, let's get to picks, and I'll start first. You got to find reasons to think that Auburn is not going to win this game. And we touched on a couple that if this is a surprise, I feel like the things that we outlined could be reasons why. That said, the computers have a massive difference in these two teams. Again, that's built in with some guys that weren't playing early in the season for Ole Miss, but Ole Miss was unbeaten a couple weeks ago. Went to Knoxville and got obliterated in Food City Arena / Thompson Bowling, whatever we call it these days in these parts. I know Blake has opinions on that. But, look, you watched Auburn play in that arena. Those fans were in love with that team and that coach. Those players play to that crowd. That building gets energy. Auburn got a little bored maybe with LSU. Was up 28, allowed LSU to come back, and then Auburn finished it off at the end. I just think Auburn's too good. It's got too much going for it in that building. And I'm really going to make an Auburn pick here without giving it a lot of thought to the contrary. Blake, I'll let you go next.
Yeah, I will. I will just look at it this way. Auburn's been the best defensive team in conference play. They've turned people over more. They have more steals. They're allowing opponents to shoot just 39% from two in conference games so far. Ole Miss is taking care of the ball as well as anybody. Actually third in three-point percentage through 4 conference games. But it would just have to be a out of this world three-point shooting performance from Ole Miss to find the path for me to pick them here. So could it happen? Maybe. Because again, they've had some really nice three-point shooting games this year. Shot 56% against Temple, shot 50% against Memphis, shot 57% against Cal, and these are all games where they're hitting double-digit threes. Shot 58% against Southern Miss. So, yeah, I mean, they just hit 10 against Vanderbilt, but there's a common denominator with those games, except for the Temple game. So, yeah, and and a couple of those are neutral court games. But again, I just think this is different. You're playing a team that is much more similar to Tennessee than any of the other teams on your schedule. And we saw what happened there. And it's the same kind of scenario where you have to go on the road. So Broom's, like you said, Broom's injury could impact things, but it's probably closer, if he doesn't play. But Auburn's depth is what it is. And there's a part of me that thinks this one's going to be closer than people think, but at the same time, it's Auburn. They've beaten everybody on their schedule by double digits, and I know that streak has to end at some point. But I don't know. I don't know if it's here. So,
Yep, I think we're gonna go clean sweep here. I mean, it's tough to pick Ole Miss on the road right now in general, and to do it at Neville is gonna be a tall task. You're gonna need a perfect 40 minutes. You're gonna have to have close to no turnovers, and you're gonna have 40+% from three, with Auburn playing out of character. There's a lot that has to happen for Ole Miss to win, and Auburn's just got to keep doing what they're doing, and they should cruise. So, yeah, Auburn here, but I mean, you never know with a look-ahead spot, but still, Ole Miss just has not proven it on the road yet.
All right, that wraps up our preview and prediction for Ole Miss Auburn. We'll be telling you our analysis of what happened afterwards. We'll either do that Saturday night or probably more likely Sunday morning. Best way to get that, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button. That helps our analytics. For Blake Lovell and Max Barr, I'm Chris Lee. Thank you for watching Southeastern 14, presented by Bet Online.